As we celebrate Black history, you gotta celebrate Motown and Black music. Beautiful sound from remarkable performers who had to learn how to perform.
And don't think it's lost on me that you had to cut around so many times. You didn't know none of those people, did you? You didn't know none of those people. I like Motown. The Jackson 7. I tell you, the Jackson 7. When I was growing up in South Carolina, we would put on James Blue all the time. I remember being in the crib listening. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. I am Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse.
Did you ever think that she actually appointed you, Tim? And think of it, appointed, and you're the senator of her state, and she endorsed me.
You know, the kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
I want to talk to the manager.
Now, Black MAGA, when we were last here and I addressed Byron Donalds, I ended with a video of a gentleman recounting just how hard times have become for Black Republicans.
Y'all seen this? It's got to be tough to be a Black Republican right now. First, Trump, when he gets elected, he overlooks all of y'all that was out there on the campaign trail stumping him, telling us to vote for him. Byron Donalds even told us
during Jim Crow, the Black family was together.
That's right.
While he was out there smoking cigars and telling us to vote for Trump.
Now, granted, that video was about Byron Donalds defending his reading ability. I told y'all I read at a 9th grade level. I qualified to be the governor of Florida.
Have you read the book Caste by Isabel Wilkerson?
Have you read the book of my life?
Caste.
Whoa, stop. Don't educate me about my life, sir. Don't do that. Don't, sir. Hold on. What? Please, hear me on this. I like how everybody's shouting at me, the Black guy on stage with the microphone and saying, have you read this book?
That's what that particular video was about. But really, none of this should be at all surprising because, as I have said here many times, pick-me behavior never ends well. We see it all across our political spectrum. Just to pick one, I don't know, how about the Supreme Court deciding it would be prudent to give Donald Trump immunity, which sound all well and good until he decided to come for judges and the judiciary. Now we're at a point where even a 9-0 Supreme Court decision is rendered moot. Didn't think that one through, did you? Didn't think that one through. And don't think that won't get its own treatment. So naturally, the plight of the Black MAGAs and Black conservatives would be quite difficult at this particular point in time. And to name one, you, Tim Scott, you have done so much to assert your level of commitment to white supremacy. I mean, you are the man who told Trump how you really felt about him after bowing out of the primary.
Did you ever think that she actually appointed you, Tim? And think of it, appointed, and you're the senator of her state, and she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician.
You are the same man who told us that racism was over. It was in the rearview mirror, which I don't know what kind of mirror that is. I seen the stickers that say objects may be closer than they appear. I didn't see that stuff in your rearview mirror is actually in front of you. Like we just gonna replay the 40s and the 50s again.
Chosen as the vice president, you would be the first Black Republican VP on the ticket. How do you feel?
Well, I think it's exciting, no matter the outcome. It's the evolution of the Southern heart that we see on display. And we Southerners get so little credit for the progress we've made. The whole notion of judging a person on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, has happened. It's not going to happen. It's not around the corner. It's in the rearview mirror. We are living Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
You got a whole wife in an effort to bolster your submission to be the vice president. At least I think y'all got married. Most of the photos I saw from that was you with the fellas. Only to be passed up for J.D. Vance. This J.D. Vance. And not only did you get passed up for vice president, you didn't even get in the cabinet. And look who got in the cabinet.
She's cosplaying ICE agent. And she, of course, is doing it with like 25 pounds of hair, only to be outdone by her 30 pounds of makeup and false eyelashes. There's no false eyelashes on an ICE raid.
And anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids, because, you know, this is what we're doing it for. These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters.
Enough was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
Hoaxsters.
Enough was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
This group, no, this group right here, full of hoaxsters.
Enough was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
That peddle anonymous sources from leakers with access to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know it, we know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing for the president, fighting hard across the board, and I'm going to go roll some Easter eggs.
I remember crosses being burned when I was a kid against an anti-Catholic president. A lot of other, I was called a Mick, a mackerel snatcher.
You know it's bad when they didn't even invite you down there to that biscuit brunch for Black History Month. You know it's bad. You know it's bad. What I heard was all the leftover biscuits that Kodak Black and Judge Joe Brown didn't want. All the leftover biscuits got put out back with a sign that said, Tim Scott, like, come and get it. That's what I heard.
Here it goes. Oh, yeah. Have a good time. I ain't mad. Here's the deal. If you like James Brown, Eartha Kitt, Teddy Pendergrass, that's just a sign you like good music. Now, I grew up during the Motown era, musical geniuses, and lots of them from my great state of South Carolina. So as we celebrate Black history, you gotta celebrate Motown and Black music. Beautiful sound from remarkable performers who had to learn how to perform.
That's what you decided to highlight for Black History Month? That's what you decided to highlight was Black music? Really? I don't disagree with the greatness of all the artists that you named. I just find that fascinating. With no dancers that you wanted to mention as well. And don't think it's lost on me that you had to cut around so many times. You didn't know none of those people, did you? You didn't know none of those people. I like Motown. The Jackson 7. I tell you, the Jackson 7. When I was growing up in South Carolina, we would put on James Blue all the time. I remember being in the crib listening to James Turquoise, and it became the music of my childhood. And what was the guy named did Purple Rain? Was it Pauper?
In the midst of segregation, division, and riots. But these performers rose above the chaos to bring America together. We are a better country because musicians like the ones I named help pave a part of the way. The story of bringing America together.
And you also better be careful. You got to make sure the administration don't see this video where you talking about racism. And that's not going to go. They don't want to acknowledge no racism. Huh? Oh, he said segregation, because he said segregation. Segregation, not racism? It's coming back. And after all of that, Tim Scott, look where it's got you.
Tim Scott was on every TV show that you could think of, or that would let him on, tell us for Trump. Trump overlooked them, and the only person he put on his calendar as a black man is Scott Turner. He was a no-name Republican that could not get elected in California, moved to Texas, was installed in Texas, and then Trump elevated him to HUD secretary. That man has a purpose of his own. He's not like Byron Donalds and Tim Scott. Byron Donalds and Tim Scott are old blood Republicans.
Let's dig in, shall we? Here is the presidential action right here. It says, except as provided in subsection B of this section, the non-statutory components and functions of the following governmental entities shall be eliminated to the maximum extent consistent with applicable law, and such entities shall reduce the performance of their statutory functions and associated personnel to the minimum presence and function required by law. And here we see United States Agency for Global Media, the Woodrow Wilson International Center. I think they would want to highlight Woodrow Wilson. Y'all know how he got down. And here we go, Section 7, the Minority Business Development Agency. Now let's see what that means, what they do. The Minority Business Development Agency, part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, supports the growth and success of minority-owned businesses. It provides funding, consulting, and advocacy to help businesses access contract, capital, and new markets. How the elimination will affect the American people. The loss of MBDA would remove crucial support for minority-owned businesses, making it harder for them to compete, grow, and contribute to economic equity. Minority-owned businesses in rural areas, which already face barriers in accessing capital and government contracts, will lose a vital support system, stalling economic mobility and job creation in these communities. Now, wait a minute. MBDA. Tim Scott. Ain't that you? Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott has spent years boosting a federal program to support minority-owned businesses. President Donald Trump's administration dismantled it in a number of weeks. Scott, along with other Republicans, was integral to congressional efforts to permanently authorize the Commerce Department's Minority Business Development Agency, expand its services into rural areas, and leverage the program to help minority-owned businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now the program, which funds grants to business owners and provides technical assistance, support, and mentorship, has had 100% of its staff, about 50 people, placed on administrative leave or redistributed within the Commerce Department, according to a Commerce employee and a Democratic staffer granted anonymity to discuss personnel matters. For years, Scott has prioritized efforts to expand access to capital and economic mobility for underserved communities like the one he says he grew up in, and minority businesses like his own Main Street Insurance Company. The MBDA dates back to the Nixon administration and was one outlet for this mission. But Scott has stayed silent publicly about the gutting of the agency. They are watching this happen and they are doing nothing. That's cowardice, and it cuts especially deep when the people you once believed were your champions turn their backs in silence, the Commerce Department employee said of Scott's and other Republicans' silence on cuts to the program. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me Tim Scott ain't said nothing? Tim Scott ain't said nothing. Oh, he did say something. In a statement, a spokesperson for Scott underscored for Politico his record of working with Trump to deliver life-changing results for minority communities around the nation, end quote. This included the senator's efforts in Trump's first term to secure permanent funding for historically black colleges and universities and creating, quote, opportunity zones under the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Nah, we're not doing that. Nah, we're not doing that. Because all you did was just eliminate that from all the other nonsense that you were trying to sell us on Trump's commitment to the black community. How you just going, you know what, baby, I am going to always take care of you and make sure that you are safe, make sure that you are fed. I will be faithful and I will give you the life of your dreams. Huh? Where was I last night? You know, baby, I'm always going to make sure you are taken care of, you are fed, and give you the life of your dreams. How you just gonna take that out and act like we didn't notice, and then want us to take you seriously? Now here's the thing. It's one thing for you to not say anything if you've been busy, like if you persona non grata. But here's what you did have time to speak on. Senator Tim Scott and a band of Republicans vote to make banking overdraft fees great again. Under Joe Biden, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau instituted a $5 cap on bank overdraft fees. Senate Republicans have voted to let banks take advantage of Americans by repealing the cap on overdraft fees, thanks to legislation put forward by Tim Scott. So let me get this straight. While Trump and his administration was dismantling your minority business initiative, you were working on legislation to restore banks' ability to gouge on overdraft fees. Do I have that correct? But wait, there's more. Here's a tweet from Scott himself. During President Trump's first term, he raised federal funding for HBCUs and made it permanent. And with this executive order, President Trump is building on that work and continuing to deliver for the American people. And here we have a whole press release. Senator Scott praises President Trump's commitment to opportunity and innovation at HBCUs. Now, one thing that we have already established is how nonsense the Trump HBCU claims were before the election. They were almost as bad as Trump's claims on black unemployment. But see, the thing is, you don't get to lie to me multiple times. Like when you keep tossing out lowest black unemployment when it was lower under Biden, you lose all credibility with other things. But then when we actually even look into those other things, like HBCU funding, and see how high it was under Biden relative to the claims you're making under Trump, we through. I at least thought you had the decency to leave that garbage on the curb when we moved into this administration. You brought the garbage in the house. You brought the garbage in the house and then trying to sell it to me while I'm sitting on your couch asking what happened to the Minority Business Initiative. Is that what we doing?
Diversity is a major part of the success of America. Our patchwork quilt makes us the most dominant nation on the planet. As we celebrate Black History Month, we need to understand and appreciate all the good things brought to us by the diversity of our nation and the people we are. And I want to start by talking about things that you use on a daily basis. Think about things like the stethoscope. Doctors use that every single day. X-rays, elevators. Do you like peanut butter? I do. George Washington Carver.
Now I'm gonna give you some credit, Tim Scott. That was better than the first one. That was better than the first one. But let's be honest, you didn't know who invented none of that other stuff, did you? You didn't. Yeah, I know George Washington Carver though. Because we gonna end, you put whatever stuff you want in, but we ending with peanut butter George Washington Carver. That's what we're gonna end with. I mean, really? Well, you didn't have no assistants in there to just throw in, or who in the elevators, Outcast. How about that? How hard was that? That wasn't that hard. And by the way, with this whole thing about diversity and the strength of diversity with our nation, send that to Pete Hegseth, would you? Yeah, just go ahead and CC that to Pete Hegseth. I want to see how it goes. We'll put it in the Signal chat. Ain't you in the Signal chat? I am. All right, well, I send it to him, fine.
The longest serving Black U.S. Senator in the history of the country. The very first Black United States Senator to chair a standing committee. The very first Black person to serve in both Congress and the United States Senate. United States Senator Tim Scott, Republican from the state of South Carolina.
Our relatives have paid too high of a price for us not to see discomfort as a motivating factor for our success. I could be a victim or I could be victorious, but I couldn't be both.
Now I'm gonna keep it a buck, Tim Scott. I'm gonna have some integrity about this because I'm not MAGA. I credit the work that you are trying to do now, and I credit the work that you've done previously with bringing about the Minority Business Development Agency. That being said, how you can be silent with the elimination of the thing you spent so much time and energy and effort working on makes me question the authenticity and the real life commitment to advancing these goals, as it would for anybody who's actually paying attention. I need to figure out how you can be all out here drafting up legislation on overdraft fees and taking trips to be on panels and things like that, talking about opportunity for Black folk, when all of the work that you have put into the MBDA has been eliminated and you said nothing. I need to know. I need to know, Tim. And the other thing I need to know is, granted, I was never particularly adept at navigating relationships. I was your boy was out here with the boombox playing it outside people's apartment buildings all throughout the early 2000s. Just ask Brooklyn. Just ask if you heard some noise in Brooklyn late at night in the early 2000s, your boy had just got broke up with. Okay, so I'm not the best when it comes to navigating relationships, but when you offer the degree of love and you pledge your fealty and you are willing to degrade yourself in the manner in which you are.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No.
You're doing that with the hope of some return of that affection. Something. I need to know something. Look, I wasn't going to be out on the curb playing music for days. I give you one solid night. After that, cops come, I gotta go. You out here, it's been months. It's been months. Go inside, Tim. Go call your wife and ask her to pick you up. I need to know how you have done all of this. The I love you, the racism is over, get passed over for any and every legitimate position. Then you get placed with the role of trying to reelect Republican senators as we go into an election cycle where you will have more spots to defend. So they kind of lined you up with that one. Don't let that go unnoticed. And now here you are saying nothing while they dismantle your legacy. I need to know. Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott has spent years boosting a federal program to support minority-owned businesses. The Trump administration dismantled it in a matter of weeks. Scott shamelessly hasn't said a peep about it. Senator Tim Scott has long branded himself as the GOP's bridge to Black America, a champion of minority entrepreneurship and economic mobility. He co-authored bills, fought for capital access, even got funding into pandemic relief for Black barbers and salon owners. But now, as the Trump administration guts the very agency he helped elevate, the Minority Business Development Agency, Scott's doing his best impression of a ghost in a tailored suit. Now, this I appreciated. The disinformation detox claims Scott and Trump are working to help all hardworking Americans. Reality, Trump's people are trying to change the name of the MBDA to avoid political attention while undercutting its mission. That's like renaming a hospital so no one notices it's closing. Final thought, Tim Scott had the receipts, he had the record, he had the momentum. But now his legacy is being disassembled by the same political machine he's smiling next to. If you build a ladder for others to climb, but don't speak up when it's kicked down, were you really lifting? If you build a ladder for others to climb, but don't speak up when it's kicked down, were you really lifting them up or just staging a photo op? That right there. I asked the same question of the MAGAs who jumped out the window talking about, oh, the tariffs coming to save us. Oh, the tariffs coming to save us. Huh? Oh, the tariffs canceled? Tariffs canceled. Because we were saved already. Because we would say, I'm saved. I went down to Mount Calvary years ago. I'm saved. I've done hit the wall, wade in the water. I'm saved. So yeah, Trump go ahead and cancel the tariffs. I need to know. So this was one of the things that proved Trump's commitment to uplifting Black America. So what does its elimination mean?
Tim Scott watched it burn and said nothing. The Minority Business Development Agency, the one federal lifeline for thousands of minority-owned businesses across America, is being quietly dismantled. Not cut, not trimmed, dismantled, erased, gutted. And Senator Tim Scott, the man who spent years parading that agency as a symbol of hope and opportunity, has gone completely silent.
Housing and small businesses transforms the minority communities and disadvantaged communities all across America. My goal is to make sure that everyone who is struggling has an opportunity to access more resources. That's called the American way, or at least it's supposed to be the American way. And I aim to make sure that from a banking perspective, we have the flexibility with our regulators so that small business owners with a good plan, with decent credit, has access to the capital to start hiring people from their own communities.
No press conference, no fiery speech, not even a half-hearted tweet, just silence. This is the same Tim Scott who told stories of growing up poor, of starting his own insurance agency, of understanding the struggle of Black and brown entrepreneurs. The same senator who said, small businesses are the heartbeat of minority communities. The same guy who pushed for expanding MBDA offices to rural areas and bragged about delivering millions in pandemic relief through it. And now, as the Trump administration sends every single MBDA staffer home or reassigns them like pawns on a board, as they shut down the Capital Readiness Program, as they ghost grant recipients and close business centers, Scott disappears. Why? Because Trump told the agency to shrink to the minimal amount possible under the law. And Tim Scott, who campaigned for Trump, who angled to be his VP, apparently decided that his political future was more valuable than his legacy. Let that sink in. The only federal agency solely focused on helping minority-owned businesses is being eviscerated. Entrepreneurs across the country, barbers, bakers, beauticians, builders, have no idea what's happening. They're left without guidance, without funding, and without the support they were promised. And the man who once called the MBDA critical to America's future? Crickets. This isn't just hypocrisy, it's betrayal. People believed in him. People needed him. And when it mattered most, when he had a chance to stand up and fight, Tim Scott folded. All for proximity to a man who's never hidden his disdain for diversity initiatives. This is bigger than politics. This is about livelihoods, about kids whose parents are trying to build something better, about communities that have been locked out of wealth building for generations. If this were happening under a Democratic president, Tim Scott would be on every cable news show within 24 hours. But now, he's too busy protecting his spot in the party to protect the people he claimed to fight for. He didn't lose the battle, he walked away from it. So let's call it what it is. This isn't leadership, it's cowardice. And history won't remember Tim Scott as the senator who helped build something powerful for minority communities. It'll remember him as the one who watched it burn and said nothing.
Talk is cheap, especially when your legacy gets bulldozed and you don't even flinch. Guess silence is the new strategy. Prior to the election, we couldn't go a matter of days without hearing from the Black MAGAs about Trump was going to do this and that for the Black community, and look what the Democrats have done, and Trump wants to uplift. No, I heard so much from Black MAGA prior to the election. I was showering 2-3 times a day. Okay? Where's that energy? How come y'all didn't keep the same energy? Where's that energy? Where's that energy with the anti-DEI hysteria? Where's that energy when they erased Black history from the military? Where's that energy when they attacked the Black Smithsonian? Where's that energy when they threatened Black History Month? Where is that energy when they eliminated the prevention of federal contracts with companies that had engaged in segregation? Where's that energy with the elimination of the Minority Business Development Agency? Where is that energy? Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, and I want to thank you for all your incredible suggestions for guests.
Bruh, man, can I get my seat, man? Don't tell. I shouldn't have sat here, right?
That could join me on my weekly 8 p.m. live. Now you'll see some of your favorite creators, not only on this platform, but other social media platforms, joining me every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So be on the lookout for that. Now, a lot of you guys have already signed up for my newsletter, but we're going to create a written version of the Reese Waters channel and put our stamp on it and allow us to cover some topics we can't always cover in the videos, or maybe some odds and ends that we couldn't get into the videos. It's almost like when you're in the shower and you remember that perfect line that really would have set that argument off. You know, what you really wanted to say to that ex or coworker.
I don't want to bore you any. You know I love you, I love you, I love you.
No, for real. You can sing with me without touching.
Come on.
You wasting your time by singing to me because I'm not listening.
All the stuff that I forgot and just missed that didn't necessarily make the videos, you can find that in the newsletter. You can sign up for that at reesewaters.com. There, you might also see a bunch of new merch. That's right, I teased it. It is finally here. We have new merch on the website, and we'll be continuing to drop new merch, so make sure you check that out at the website. And speaking of merch, I first want to give a shout out to all the fantastic mods, the mod squad here on the channel that does a fantastic job every single day. But one of our originals, my man Dank, sent me this pic with his I'm Troubled t-shirt, and he looks so good in it. I almost went and ordered another one for myself, but then I realized that, you know, I need to get my front porch fixed. Yeah, it's not gonna look that way on me. No, just the O and the B just be just bow. It'd be look like it's a bow shirt. But in the meantime, I want to thank you guys for being such an incredible community, and one that gives me so much hope when I wake up every single day.